Hey everyone, Dan here. We're about an hour after market close on Monday, July 19th. We're going to do that Monday thing and take a look at Palantir. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, ideas. Do not take them as trading or investment advice. Do your own due diligence. Make your own decisions based on your own situation. So Palantir had a bit of a green day today. Feels mostly sideways from a charting perspective, but probably feels more like a solid win, at least it does to me, because of the market having a bit of a struggle today. We see here volume clocking in at about 30 million on the day, down quite a bit from its 3-month average at 52.77 million in a day. We'll talk more about that in a little bit, the down volume that we've been seeing on Palantir. But like I had said, Palantir being up almost 1%, definitely in stark contrast to the NASDAQ, Dow, and S&P, where we saw solid sell-offs there. And this is sort of like a nice change of pace, I think, for some folks that are tired of getting beat up extra in the growth sector when the larger market is having sort of a macro sell-off happening and growth just getting absolutely pounded. I mean, I'm sure you remember those days when the NASDAQ would be kind of red, maybe approaching 1%, maybe a little bit over 1%, and yet growth would be down 5, 10, 12% on the day and just taking the absolute brunt of the beating in those sort of situations. But in my opinion, as you can see here on the chart, enough selling off has occurred. There is a bit of stabilization happening in some of these growth stocks, and sort of folks feeling that the extent to which they needed to have some adjustment in their market cap and in their share price, that has occurred, and that now they don't need to sort of take these wallopings when the market itself sort of goes against them. So I wanted to take a look at this daily chart today and sort of plot a course, see where we might be catching some support if we need it to the downside, some really impactful zones, and then see where we might look for sort of an extended run to the upside, which I think Palantir could be gearing up for. So if we take a look, I think there's a couple of things that I want to look at. If we look at this move here as a standalone, I'd like to just do a quick look on the fib retracement, and I'll tie this together in a second, so just bear with me. But taking a look at the fib retracement from this 1706 sort of start to this impulsive move, and then 2750 topping out, it's a very good $10 move, right? I don't think anyone would sneeze at that if it were to happen again. Like if we were to go from 21 to 31, that would feel great, right? But you see us right here catching support for the most part in the body of the candle at this 618 retracement level from this initial impulsive move. So I think that there could be a strong case here that we are in a potential bounce zone, because not only does this capture the 618, but if we look left here, which gives us context in previous price action right around this 2119 zone. I mean, all the way back here, let me get it back here. Yep, all the way back here, you see it had this retest after this run up that we saw from, remember the glory days when we were down here in the 9s, and that had this first run up here, which felt obviously like a huge overextension at that time into the 30s, where it came back to and pulled back into to find support at that time was right in this exact zone. And then we see it continuing as it then retraced further, trying really hard to hold support in that area, and then finally just sort of consuming all of the buy pressure that was there. And that's when it fell down to that 1706-ish level. And then has had to claw back from there. But, and it actually had kicked itself off of there. It had gotten some resistance there. If you see right here, kicked itself down and then had a nice pass through on the other side. So this being a nice catch zone to the downside makes a lot of sense to me. And so that's going to be my biggest sort of bullish hope on Palantir, is that this lining up with the 618 retracement level from this latest impulsive move, and then lining up with so much previous support then gives it that additional oomph to make another run, basically starting now. Now, if we can get another run going, and just keep in mind, we're going to be wanting to look for signals that, things are actually gaining strength and that, run-ups are occurring. What I'm going to look for is the extension. So I'm going to take the low here, where this impulsive move started, and then I'm going to take the high where it topped out, and then I'm going to pull it back to the bottom of this wick. If this was the downside to this move. Where is this exactly? Okay, we'll say it's there. Okay, so this gives us extension levels here to the upside, and if I pull back, let me see if I rejigger this a little bit. If we do the year to date, maybe. Okay, this gives us then our upside. Now, what I look for is the 100% upside. If we're really going to have a nice move up here, that's where I look for sort of like a first level, because you see even here, just this like 618 level, or I guess even the 786 level, just gets us over this impulsive up here. And so that just stretches us a little bit over that area, basically from high 27 or mid 27s to high 28s. So that to me, wouldn't be the move I'd be looking for. I'd be looking for this 30.95 level, the 100% extension area, and then with a second take profit zone, or sort of like lock in profit at 37.41 to that 161.8 upside. So that's what I'm going to be looking for on the bullish side of things. That of course will presuppose that we can get this bounce here. Let me switch this to purple. Purple is what I use for bounce. And this presupposes that we can get this bounce going here. Now the wick did stretch a little bit under there, but I'm hoping that we have this first green candle here and that gives us some liftoff. Now I'm going to keep a strong eye on the volume, because if we're actually going to have enough oomph to get us over $30 again, which seems like it's been a long time since we've talked about the realities of Palantir getting over $30. I guess it would have been just back here. But that was February, when things then just started getting crushed across the board for growth stocks. But, I'm going to be keeping a strong eye on the volume here, because like I said, we're down quite a bit from the 3-month highs, or the 3-month average with the volume. And as this turns to green, if we continue to turn to green days on Palantir like we saw here, what I would want to see there is much higher volume consistently. So not this sort of like relatively low volume green that seemed pretty solid, but actually it was pretty easy to squash and pull back from. And obviously it pulled back from the price area that it was in when it was having those green days at that volume. So I'm looking for a strong volume spike to sort of reconfirm that there is the potential for this up move. So to me, that's a lot of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a confluence of various factors coming in and saying, yes, this is actually a move up. Because could we fall below this purple box and come down to that 1706 again and retest that, and maybe make an M or something, or make this sort of like zigzaggy pattern? Yeah, for sure. It could 100% come down to that 1706 as well. What I'm looking for is confirmation to the upside. Green volume surpassing, this sort of like lull in volume that we've had recently, and approaching something closer to that 3-month average would be a good indication for me. Now, additionally, on the indicator side of things, I would look for the MACD to throw us a nice bullish crossover. Right now, it's holding the real estate between the signal line and the MACD, meaning we see a slight curl down here on the histogram, looking like the bearish momentum could be waning a smidge. But what I don't see as strongly as I would like yet is the curling in of the MACD line, the yellow one here, to the signal line, so we get a nice bullish crossover like we saw here. Be looking for a bullish crossover, and we are under the baseline. I mean, we're pretty close to the baseline, but we are technically under the baseline right now. But this would be, to me, a nice stair step upwards. We have all of these stair steps down, right? And so this would be the beginnings of stair steps in the other direction. And so by its nature then, the MACD would just be holding closer to the baseline as it has a bullish crossover and then pushes up hopefully closer to the 2 on the MACD, whereas this one topped out around the 1.21 area. 1.23 area. Now in conjunction with the MACD, if we can get a bullish crossover, that would help me to feel like it's signifying this potential upward momentum, that push that could bring us back to 30. What I'm going to be looking for here though on the RSI, not most importantly, but as importantly, again, taking all of these factors in conjunction with each other, is that it can make a push here toward the midline. You see right here the midline about 50 on the RSI. When it can breach that, as you see back here, and hold over, then it has a nice path toward overbought territory. When it can't, like you see back here, and it just sort of like gets stuck to the midline, right, and it can't get anything going over it, then it just pushes back down into oversold territory. So not wanting that to happen, for the bullish scenario anyway, what I'm going to be looking for is what it does as it approaches that midline. Now again, just because I want it to go up doesn't mean that it's going to go up. It doesn't care. Palantir and the market does not care that I want Palantir to go up. Does not matter. So if this gets rejected off the midline and comes back down, if this can't produce a bullish crossover, to me, I would say, okay, it looked like it could have been a nice setup, but it just didn't play out. And that's often what setups are. It is the criteria appears to be there, but something needs to happen now, right? That's always the thing. I don't know if this is the lowest point in this retracement because that's where it is right now. I need to see what happens in the coming days to see, okay, that was the lowest point in the retracement, and now we're stair stepping up. But until that happens, it could just as easily fall right back through. Okay, heck, it could go back to 9 for as easily as it could go to 30. It could come back to 9. So just keep that in mind. The setup is the setup, and then the next question is, does the setup play out or not? And that's where we are right now. But that's what I'm going to be looking for from those things. And then, we have the 20 curling down toward the 50 right now. So we have everything basically in a bearish formation because, the 20 and the 50 are over the price action. Now, a more bearish formation would be like you saw here, where the 20 is also then below the 50. And then, if we had 200 trading days, we'd have the 200 up over it here, but we don't. Oh, maybe this is the 200th day. Oh, wow. It's probably just the 200th day coming in now. Okay, so right now everything still is in a bullish formation. It's just that the 20 is making a bearish turn down toward the 50. So I would be just aware of what happens there. Does it get a crossover here? But I think even if it does that, the other criteria won't be met anyway. The MACD won't cross over, and the RSI certainly won't be establishing over the 50. And for that matter, at that point, it will probably be treating this purple box more as a resistance zone or as a sideways consolidation area, pinning itself to there, then establishing support over it. So probably don't need to watch the MAs as closely, in my opinion, on this one. Now, the other sort of like small indication, though I will still point it out, that Palantir, could be having a bit of a go at the moment. Not only outperforming, the NASDAQ today quite significantly, but if we look over here at Kathy and her ARK fund, which kicked off a bunch of that recent pushback after these sells came through and sort of got really blown up strongly by the media. ARKW and ARKK holding Palantir. Look at ARKW and ARKK. ARKW clocked in to the green side today, 0.21%. ARKK to the green side, 0.64%. So smaller win than against the NASDAQ, but still a win for Palantir today, outperforming ARKK, ARKW, and the NASDAQ, and potentially coming down to the right area for a strong bounce to lead us back to 30. Now, there will be a bunch of jibs and jabs and ups and downs if it can make this run to 30, but it will be something that looks relatively clear in the broader scheme of things, like on this daily chart. All right, well, I think that will do it for this one. Good luck if you're in Palantir, or good luck regardless of whatever you're trading. I hope your trading week got off to a good start, and I wish you the best. I will see you in the next video.